for making sure we're all awake this morning. It's nice to have you back. I'm Nancy Evans. I'm the platform assistant for this morning. And welcome to you all on this 4th of July weekend. One of the songs that we're going to be singing as the congregational song is "Oh Beautiful for Spacious Skies." And Jim and I just did a quick 4-day trip from here to Grand Lake, Colorado, and it was a good experience of our beautiful country, and with lots of different landscapes in a very short amount of time. Okay, the chaplain today is Charlene Ball. If you have some prayer requests that you would like to share with Charlene individually after the service, she'll be available in our prayer room on the my right, your left, from 11:30 to 11:50. And there are always coffee and treats after the service, so please join us for some fellowship.
Have a happy 4th.
That's fine, I think. Okay. All right, now after Sally's collection of humor, let's get serious for a moment and share an opening prayer. Dear God, you are my help in every need. You are here. I know from the core of my being that you are with me now. Through you and only through you can I overcome any obstacle to peace of mind. I can overcome any limitation. I can live in freedom and self-mastery. Through your activity, God, I feel a comfort and a tranquility that passes human understanding. Jesus promised, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Now it is time for me to let go of my list of human weaknesses and limitations. You free me now, God. Live a fuller, happier, more useful, and more satisfying life. Now it is time for me to let go of my human sense of trouble and difficulties. I let go of everything not to the level of Christ consciousness and center my full attention, my whole being, on your spiritual help with me and all around me. Dear God, I give you my full attention in this moment, and I see the result. I get my personal self out of the way so that the divine can emerge. In my awareness, I feel a harmonizing calm, a complete confidence, and the victorious blessedness that always emanates from your close presence and quiet, steady, purposeful activity. Harmony and wholeness, vitality, power and plenty. You become that to me and more. God, you are with me right now. I give you my full human attention. I go to you every day, abide in you every moment, and consciously let you perform your work. I consciously let you live in me and through me and all around me. And I am aided, strengthened, and guided in ways that I have not yet dreamed of in human mind. In the name of our way shower, Jesus. Amen. Get quiet and consider the fact that the Unity Worldwide Ministries foundation statement is said in every church, every Unity church in the world, and that we are joining together as one as we say these words of affirmation. There is one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. We also have our own Unity Church of Ames affirmation. Join together.
Through the Christ Spirit in us, we create a better church and a better world. So be it.
Larry is going to turn this on. Larry is going to share the daily word with us.
Is everybody happy?
There you go.
Thank you.
We can hear you.
Everybody is someone to love, to be loved, to console and to console. You can't be bought with purple pill or jug of wine. It's all in the mind. Yes, I'm plugged up. Let's see. I'll get on here. In first letter to the Corinthians, the Apostle Paul spoke about the power of love, what it means in our lives. Love is patient. Love is kind. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endure all things. Love never ends. Remember relationships, whether they're provoked or business related. I remember Paul's words, allow them to guide thy actions. Try to be patient, and like others to be themselves, without judgment or censorship. I express God's love for them, for praying for them, encourage them for the way of life. God's love moves from me, includes my interactions with others. Now faith and hope, love abide. These three, and greatest of these is love. Gotta remember love. Pardon the proud mind. I'm getting old.
Okay, Rev. Deb will share her message, celebrating freedom.
Good morning. How are you all this wonderful morning? All right. I'm delighted. My sister-in-law Marie is sitting right here in the front row. She came all the way from Burlington, Vermont. Now I have family in Minneapolis. I have family in St. Louis. I have family in Florida. But who is the furthest away and has actually made it here? Marie. Whoa! I'm so glad you are here. All right. Well, happy almost 4th of July. It is delightful to see all of you today. What a holiday it is, this 4th of July. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Wow, 1776. That was quite a declaration. That was a very powerful, forward-thinking declaration in 1776. They're stirring words, and they mark the birthday of our country. 240 years ago now. 240 years ago, it was an incredible declaration. It was way ahead of its time when we think about that. And it was quite a declaration for people who had been subservient to a monarch, a king, all of their lives, to declare themselves free. And what elegant prose, if you read the whole thing, it is so eloquent and so moving. I cannot imagine tweeting it. Putting it in 141 characters just won't fit. I can't hashtag it. It seems not even an email would do it justice. It is a declaration that really needs to be written line by line on parchment with a quill and ink. because it was a very personal statement. It really meant a lot to the people who were writing it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. We're all equal. It was a radical stand to take. We are all equal. No one is better. There's no longer a divine right of kings. We have inalienable rights. I looked that up because I wanted to be really clear about what that means. What it means is those rights are rights that we have by virtue of being alive as human beings. They aren't conferred by anyone, and they cannot be taken away by anyone. They are an intrinsic reality. And we're not even talking about citizenship yet because there wasn't a country. We have these rights by virtue of being human. The writers and signers talked also about the pursuit of happiness. Now, I think that was a really wise choice of words. We are and have the right to the pursuit of happiness, which means it's not guaranteed. We just are guaranteed the right to pursue it, however it seems to fit for us. We have this freedom, this liberty that means that we have the right to be free from oppressive restrictions from government. And the freedoms were defined in the Bill of Rights. And with that freedom, that liberty, comes responsibility. A great responsibility. And that's what keeps us actually able to enjoy our liberty, is to enjoy it with a great deal and an awareness of our responsibility. Now, we mark the birth of our nation from that date, 240 years ago. But it took us 240 years to really live into what that means. It took us 240 years to grant those freedoms of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to all people, regardless of gender, of race, of creed, of color, of religious affiliation. And we're still working on that. We're still trying to live up to the words in that hymn that we sang. I think of it, cities undimmed by human tears. I want to hold that in consciousness as a possibility, because we are still trying to live into that. This freedom business is a two-sided coin. It is freedom on one side and responsibility on the other. And you cannot have a one-sided coin. It just doesn't work like that. So we live on the edge, realizing that for this coin to be of value, our freedom comes with this enormous, enormous responsibility. It's a huge responsibility because this whole liberty business, this liberty is not a license to say or do anything we want without being held accountable for our actions. We're all responsible for our own behavior, our own choices. We're responsible for what comes out of our mouths, how we treat others, what we hold in our consciousness, what our thoughts are. We are responsible for that. We're responsible for all that we say and do. Charles Fillmore, one of our founders, called this the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect. And he labeled it a spiritual law. This is a spiritual law. The law of sequence, the law of the great wheel of the universe, the law of karma. What goes around comes around. What we say, what we do matters. How we think matters. In the Bible, he quotes Galatians 6, verse 7. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So what we think, what we say, what we choose to do really matters. And to have that freedom requires great responsibility on our part, individually, so that collectively we can all enjoy that freedom. Because if we engage in hostile, hateful speech or behavior, there's a consequence, there's an effect, and we can't escape that. Now that freedom thing is really, really attractive, isn't it? I remember being an adolescent, right? 15, 16, the car keys, that first taste of freedom. You're free, you can go somewhere, and your parents won't necessarily know where you went, right? They won't know what you did. And then I remember hearing my dad say, well, you can have as much freedom as you can stand. What a spoil sport. Parents, aren't they a pain? You can have as much freedom as you can stand. But you know, the message was clear, very clear, that there was a need for me to have an internal monitor, watching my own behavior, watching my own choices, watching what the boundaries are with regard to my personal freedoms. There was a need for me to be aware of that. And that if I didn't pay attention to that, my freedoms would be curtailed. And I was free to disagree with him, which I did frequently, right? But it allowed me to think, it allowed me to process what meant something to me. Thank you, Dad, for teaching me what the responsibility is that comes with freedom, because it's really, really big. Friends, we enjoy a political freedom in this country, and it is precious. I don't know that we always value it, because it is very, very precious. Something that we're called upon to safeguard with an equal measure of responsibility, respect, and mindfulness. What does it look like for us? What does it look like? I like to look at the word responsibility and turn it around, right? Ability to respond. When I am responsible, I am able to respond. I am able to respond rather than react. I am able to respond from a place of reflection, not by fighting an external enemy, but by really looking within at my own heart and mind and the choices I have. I am able to respond. That is what my responsibility really means. Because our thoughts have great power in our own consciousness and in maintaining this freedom that we all enjoy. Now, I had to look it up, and Sally started quoting people on freedom, and I thought, oh, I wonder if we're going to overlap. Because I really wanted to see what other people said about this. Great thinkers. Here's Abraham Lincoln. America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. That makes me pause, doesn't it? Because we will destroy ourselves. Nelson Mandela, a man who spent most of his life in prison, says, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." So that's part of our responsibility, right? Our ability to respond to situations in a way that enhances the freedom of others. Viktor Frankl, you know who Viktor Frankl was? In World War II, he was in a Nazi prison camp and then became an incredible therapist looking at human nature. Viktor Frankl says, between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. He could be a unity minister, don't you think? Right there, in that place. And I also wanted the voice of a woman, and I found Coco Chanel. I thought it was great. Chanel number 5, right, the fashion person. And here's what she said. The most courageous act is still to think for yourself aloud. Now that's courageous, isn't it? Think for yourself aloud. Ralph Waldo Emerson, he was an inspiration to Charles Fillmore. The revelation of thought takes men out of servitude into freedom. Out of servitude into freedom. It's our thoughts that set us free. It's our thoughts. Toni Morrison, African-American woman who wrote The Beloved. She says, freeing yourself was one thing. Claiming ownership of that freed self was another. Because we can be free, but I can put myself in the prison of my own making very quickly. So claiming ownership and living into that freedom, that is where our power comes from. Mahatma Gandhi. Freedom is not worth having if it does not include the freedom to make mistakes. Thank you, Mahatma Gandhi. All right? We are free to screw it up and learn, grow, and change. That's what we have in our human evolution. And then Benjamin Franklin, who was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Powerful words, powerful words. That takes us right to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? Because if freedom means anything, it's an inside job. It's a freedom right between the ears and in the heart and in the choices we make. Each one of us has our own personal journey with freedom, right? Each one of us has that areas where we do experience a sense of freedom, and then the other areas where we're just on the hook, right? It just gets you. Someone just jerks your chain and you just want to react rather than being able to respond. But real freedom gives us this ability to respond. Ultimately, it's our own journey to take. Nobody can do this for you. It's your journey. And where you are in this freedom journey is your own unique place, different from everyone else. And we can refuse to take that journey. We can refuse to think for ourselves. We can refuse to think out loud. We can refuse. And it's not a safe path. What Jesus says about it is what Nancy mentioned in her prayer. And it's in John 8:31 through 33. Because Jesus is talking to the Jews. He had something to say about this freedom business. And the heading is True Disciples. Then Jesus said to the Jews who had believed in him, if you continue in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. That was a powerful statement. You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Now listen to what they said. They answered him, we are descendants of Abraham and have never been slaves to anyone. What do you mean by saying you will be made free? They didn't get it, not even a little bit. It isn't about the external. True freedom comes from within. True freedom is continuing in that word of the Christ, of centering yourself in that place of love and compassion. The whole business You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, is within you. And it is a process of stepping in to taking real responsibility for everything that I think, that I say, that I do. Which means I don't say, oh, you made me so mad. No, those circumstances elicit being really angry. But it's my choice as to what I do with that. It is my choice as to what I say in response to that. It is my choice to speak up when I hear unkind words, when I hear unkind, or I see unkind behavior. It is my choice. And I have a hard time with it, right? I start thinking, I've got to say it just exactly right. If I don't say it right, then I better not say anything, right? And I don't want to come across snarky or snotty, right? But I have the ability to respond. And that is part of making freedom available for all of us. My ability to respond. Because when I do that, I create a space for each one of us to experience and realize just a little more of our sense of freedom. I need to let go of the prison of worry, right? I need to let go of the prison of fear, that prison that says I've got to do it just exactly right before I take the risk. Today we celebrate freedom. And as we step into that full expression of our Christ nature, letting the whole Spirit of God speak through us, we allow the word that is the Christ of us to express truth. That we are all loved and we are all endowed by our Creator with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When we realize that truth and we begin expressing it, we begin to experience freedom of the heart. Freedom of the heart that allows us to experience compassion rather than becoming cynical. We allow ourselves to have freedom of the mind so that we become accepting rather than judgmental and critical. And we allow ourselves freedom of the will to let go of fear, to make choices, and to really, truly become able to respond. So on this 4th of July holiday, welcome to freedom. Welcome home. Let's take that into meditation. We're going to sing, I am free, I am unity. An old Unity classic. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free. Feel your connection to the earth and feel your connection to your breath. As you breathe in and out, allowing your attention to focus on your breath and allowing your attention to connect with your heart. As you continue to breathe into that knowing of true freedom, that it's a spiritual freedom, it's an emotional freedom, it is a truth that sets you free. A freedom of the heart that brings compassion when you make mistakes. A freedom of the heart that brings compassion when others make mistakes. And let's go of cynicism. Breathe into the freedom of the heart. It is a freedom of the mind. Freedom of the mind that is able to choose what it thinks. Freedom of the mind that lets go of judgment, condemnation of myself, condemnation of others when we make mistakes. And I breathe into freedom of the will. I have the power to choose how I respond. Through the power of will, I choose to be able to respond to all that I experience without fear, without worry, without anxiety. I step into the I am of my being, of the Christ of me. I am able. And as I am able, I am free. So let's rest for just a moment in that place of freedom. As we come back to this time and this place, we are truly connected with that Christ, that inner higher self that is the truth, that always sets us free. So let us close to celebrate that for all of us. We are free, we are unlimited. We are free, we are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free, we are unlimited. Right now, we are
Amen.